Okay, admit. Right. It's always 1 minute to go and no one's arrived, and you have to think, oh my God, no one's going to turn up. And then, everybody.
Michael.
That's good. Hi, Brian.
How are you?
I'm good.
Excellent.
Glad you can make it. So we are at 10 o'clock. I like to start on time. Just before we start, my energy is probably not 100% today. I've just had one of my teeth pulled out, and this whole side of my face, I don't know if you can see here, it's completely swollen. So if I am not coming across right, or I don't have the right energy to please excuse me, kind of that.
That's fine.
All right, we'll share screen. And okay, just get this on the road. Can everybody see that?
Yeah, that's fine.
It's going to be a real small gathering today, which suits me fine, actually. So today we talk about social media and how you can leverage social media to book appointments. I'm currently leveraging social media to book 10 to 15 appointments every week. So I'm going to show you how I do it and hope you get value from it. Because there's no reason why you cannot leverage social media to build your coaching business. It just it takes work. Everything takes work. But you can, if you're intentional enough, use social media to move your customer along that journey so it actually books an appointment and becomes a client. So I hope you get value from it. So what you will learn on this webinar should be about 45 minutes. The type and rotation of content. So I'll tell you in terms of kind of what type of content you should be kind of using, and on headlines. I'll give you some kind of headlines I use, some kind of you can take away and use some of these headlines. Also, I'll show you my 25-day content planner. I kind of actually how to set out your content intentionally, so actually speaking to your ideal client, so that you're moving them along, either book an appointment with you, or maybe you're running an event, but you're building up those touch points whereby they're more than likely to say yes in terms of booking an appointment. And then finally, how to book 10 to 15 appointments every week. So I'll show you some ideas about how the mechanics of actually booking that appointments. And at the end, I have a free social media planner. There's a link I put in if you want my social media planner. Just screenshot the link I'll put on, and you can download that planner for yourself. Okay. So just on types of content, can everybody see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So these are sort of the framework in terms of content. You're kind of going from low value to high value, from low transformational to high transformational. So there's kind of like three main topics. Sort of the inspirational type, and we all know, it seems to be the especially Facebook is all full of kind of inspirational quotes and whatever. That's sort of low value in what it's talking about your story. Your story is important, but it's more about kind of the what that relates to your services, and having an emotional connection at that low value, that inspirational, more magnetic in terms of that low value, and more about diagnosis, prognosis. So you're like really you're not going into depth in terms of that. So that's more the low value type of content. That takes about, you should be doing about 20% of that. I'm not saying it isn't value. But we move on to informational content. This is really should be more than half of your content, sort of in their story, talking about. I keep on saying it's nothing about you, it's about their story. Maybe there's a story you're telling about your clients and the breakthrough they've had. More about kind of the mental, emotional journey that they have been on, and what they've got from that. You're demonstrating mastery, so you're demonstrating kind of authority with informational content. Again, you're still in that diagnosis prognosis. You're sort of still explaining kind of why kind of things are happening. Maybe so the beliefs that are not serving them, and why they're getting the result they are. So informational content, say 50% of that. So moving on to high transformational content. So that's actually how to implement stuff. Actually, that's all very good, kind of, but can you actually showcase kind of how that's going to help me? So that's their new story. So kind of their story, can you then taking it on to, talking about, hey, I was here, now I'm here, and that's their new story. So they can so people can identify that this actually works. Your services, kind of the new story that they're now living. So that's implementable. Experiential, actually, they experience it in terms of how, I'm experiencing more fulfilled life. Kind of, relationships are better. My career is better. Kind of, that they're because of something that you have done and helped them. And momentum. So kind of that they're getting content that kind of showcases that momentum. Actually, they're frankly unstoppable. Kind of, but it's basically they've actually improved this, and they're moving forward their lives. Are kind of all of these new things that are happening to them. And prescriptive. So it's kind of the content itself is very focused in terms of, well, how I did this, and this is what did, and this is how I did it, and this is how you can do it as well. Does that make sense? So kind of they just give a kind of a framework in terms of low value, high value, transformational things. So as you can see here, you should be more on the informational implementation type of content, rather than maybe the inspirational, which a lot of people are stuck in inspirational, and it's low value. It's kind of maybe you feel good maybe for when you're reading it, but it's instantly forgettable. Whereby if you had a powerful story or their story, that it resonates and people kind of have a connection with that. Okay, next is just to give you an example of in the relationship coaching space. It's kind of like a headline, inspirational, informational. So from an inspirational point of view, I was 3 words away from divorce. So from a headline, sort of like, kind of giving, kind of an emotional response. Informational, kind of 5 steps to regain trust after blow up. So you're giving some information about kind of how they could regain trust. And then implementation is a 15-minute couples meditation. So you're actually giving something of value for them to take away and use. So and another thing is her birthday left her in tears, the sad kind. Sort of how maybe you missed her birthday and it didn't show up the way you promised. And then information why most men fail to honor their partner's birthday, giving kind of information, kind of why does this continually happen? And then implementation is most memorable birthday checklist ever. So actually showing them, actually this is a checklist so you don't actually miss your partner's birthday. Does that make sense?
Awesome.
So that's just to give you an idea of the different buckets for different types of content. Okay, just to give you another thing about kind of a framework, I find this very powerful. I know Jane has seen this. It's really challenging beliefs. That's a part, kind of calling something out in your industry that is not serving your client. Like there's one here, current belief, I need to have good writing skills to be good at Facebook organic. So, you need to be some kind of copywriting genius to kind of write. Belief that you need, good, the belief there is I need to have good copywriting skills to be good. And then maybe you're having a story around that, the why it is not the case. Facebook is a social network where people would connect, like, and trust. So conversational posts will be far more effective than sales copy. So you're not showing don't have to be this prescriptive. In fact, it's prescriptive is coming, you're in danger of coming across as inauthentic. So having a conversational type content. And then new belief is talk from your experience. So everybody has it coming from from their experience. If that person was actually sitting in the room. So if you're talking your content or your copy, think about having that conversation with someone who's actually in the same room as you. And then how will benefit them. So, if you implement that conversational style of content, you'll get much more followers. Content writing will flow. You don't have to kind of be prescriptive and thinking, oh, I have to use this type of words or this type of language. If you're coming from a place of a conversational content, the content should write itself. And then a call to action. Hey, if you wanted examples of conversational posts, I have something that might help you. And then you'd ask people to maybe comment below. If you wanted, hashtag conversation below the post, you can send people those examples of conversational content. And then that first point is an entry point to start a conversation and then move them, potentially to book an appointment with you. So that belief shifting of kind of, maybe a belief that's not serving them, how is it affecting them? Have a story around kind of the why it is, why it's important. And then the new belief you're going to replace that with and how that will benefit them. And maybe a call to action to kind of, if they want to have this, hey, I'm giving that out maybe as a lead magnet or, starting those conversations. Make sense? You know all about this, Jane. You're an expert in all this stuff. Because story posts are the best. If anybody's writing stories, they're probably the thing that most people want to read. Everybody says, "Oh, they don't read long form content." Actually, I think if you're doing a story post that is moving people to kind of maybe from a less desirable place to a more desirable place and replacing it with a new belief, that's a powerful post to write, and then putting a call to action at the end of that. Okay, so belief shifting framework. If anybody wants this, I'll kind of send it later. If anybody, I'll just outreach. I'll just that spreadsheet. Okay, daily content. So that's just one framework. So daily content. Now this is where people, it's content is king, but content is consistency. You've got to show up. And it's maybe some days I'm just not in it. And I've had those days whereby I'm not really in the right space. And I find content really hard to get it do. But if you want to really connect with your audience and get those hands raised and move them along to kind of book an appointment, you have to be consistent with your content. Now, there is basically 4 types, like long form video. We can go lives, or kind of a bit like here in terms of webinars giving value. Short form reels, so maybe a snackable 60-second reel on something that they're dealing with. Written content, blog posts, writing posts, and then questions, polls, calling out something in your industry, calling people out in a belief that they might have. And actually polls are really great because you've actually in Facebook you can do you can put a poll in and ask people to kind of it gets them thinking if you're actually putting a question out, and people respond to that poll, and those are basically people that have indicated maybe there's a problem they're dealing with, and they and you put a list of problems. Those are kind of an automatic outreach in terms of, hey, thanks for engaging with my poll. You said X about this here. can you tell me more about that? And that's kind of starts the conversation. So polls are actually a hidden nugget that maybe a lot of people are not using. And also with polls, just for your own information on Facebook, you can share polls on multiple platforms and then they aggregate together in terms of if you were sharing it onto your profile, into your group, and maybe kind of another group, all of those comments would aggregate together in that poll. So, it's not as if you'd have, different polls in different groups. Where you started when initial poll and you shared it in other groups, that would aggregate down to that initial poll. So you can see exactly, get as maximum reach as possible. Okay. Is anybody doing as much content as that a day? They're lions in the problem. It's kind of like this game, especially with all this AI talk, and kind of people are, well, I'm not a big AI person to start with. I think it's overblown. I don't want a bot kind of writing content for me because it doesn't resonate with me. So
are you saying, Michael, that we should have on a daily basis one of each of those?
Yeah, but it's kind of on a theme, and we'll talk about kind of the planner in terms of that kind of on a theme in terms of like just using the previous example of belief shifting about kind of copywriting and conversational. A long form video maybe demonstrating that in terms of how to use conversational content to kind of get people to take action, or a short form reel in terms of how to write write a conversational post, even if you're not good with even it's not your native language. Kind of some and then give demonstrating different elements in different formats, and a long post blog about that belief shifting, maybe showing you don't need to be a copyright expert. Replacing it's actually conversational content is better. And then maybe a question about, hey, is anybody who's used conversational posts, who's got the most engagement on a conversational post? And you can maybe ask questions about that, and people will engage with that. It's kind of when you ask a question, it triggers something for people automatically to respond to. Yes, Jim?
With the like blog posts, you'd actually put a blog on your Facebook page, because I tend to just put blogs on my website. So
yeah, it's got a blog post kind of, if you have a blog, and sort of you can kind of repurpose it as a post.
Another quick question: Reels. That's a bit of mystery land for me. Are these those things that pop up?
Yes.
Get fascinated by
that's sort of 60 seconds. You've got about 60 seconds of reel, or then it goes into sort of long form. So kind of like just the headline kind of how to write conversational posts even though you're not a good copywriter, and then talk about that in your reel in terms of, hey, these are the sort of things you should be looking out for to come across as authentic, and kind of maybe give some value in a short 60-second reel.
And where do they sit? Do they sit?
Yeah, you can repost them. You can, it's written in a group. I do it in my group in terms of just upload a reel. You can upload a reel. You can put it on your profile page as well. You can do it all in groups and profile. Basically just take it on this, and then move. And then just kind of go, maybe you do the video and then just go to the group and kind of click on reel, share, and just upload it to the group.
Right. Okay. Thanks. Got that as a picture now.
Okay. Anybody else do reels on a regular basis? No. Yeah. Although it's not maybe, get people to take action on reels, it's just that it's that attention point. You're just doing something real, so people actually see that popping up in your feed in terms of kind of, they see something of value, kind of a short snackable thing, and they they're looking forward to it in terms of kind of that. More people can, oh, I missed your content, I missed that reel you were going to do. And then when you do like a call to action, maybe on the reel, like I've done call to actions on the reel, hey, I'm running this webinar next week, hashtag webinar below. I get a lot of people putting, wanting to, attend that webinar. Okay. Just on headlines, kind of give you some ideas. This is sort of some headlines that I've used in the past. Why X situation keeps happening and what to do about it. Obviously, draws people in and say, oh, yeah, I want to know more about how I can solve that and what. Then problem. Here's what to do about it. Sorry, doing common ineffective. Something that is doesn't serve them. Kind of the stuff that they're doing will not help resolve that outcome, that problem you've got. So again, you're creating curiosity in the mind of people reading this, or this could be a reel, and then I've used this moment of highest tension, sort of something that is really, it's kind of getting your customer is actually stuck in terms of they feel overwhelmed by something. It's kind of, man, I put it in inverted commas. It's just like a conversation. Man, I feel invisible in my own house, sort of like a headline, and then maybe go into why kind of I feel invisible in your own house. What's happening, and and then you would get a lot of people maybe say, yeah, I totally agree with that. I was the same kind of, I'm not being respected, or kind of, something isn't working with my relationships with people, in my own family. So you can start with that sort of headline. So the headline is 80%, headlines are so important. And, if your headline isn't grabbing, people are not going to read the rest of your content, or, even in video, kind of that first second, if it's not, succinct, people are not going to watch your video and think on that. It's just not. So there is a bit of intentionality about kind of doing kind of your content. You have, although I'm all for spontaneity. I don't, but think about kind of your content and kind of the what headline would get the most mileage getting for people to, read more or watch more. Make sense? Okay, next is social media planner, 25-day social media plan. This is how I plan everything out. So there's probably a couple of steps before this in terms of getting clear on your core message pillars. Now, core message pillars are your services, kind of when you can, chunking down to those things that are going to get that outcome for your client. Now, mine is marketing, sales, systems, basically, marketing, putting your message out there. Sales, kind of, as it says, how do you, how to close clients, how to kind of, how you sell your services, and systems, kind of the systems that make all of that happen. So those are sort of the core message pillars. And these message pillars, then you can drill down below that to kind of get elements to kind of describe elements of that in your content. So it becomes intentional. It's not just I'm thinking, what will I write today, or what will I, do a video on today. You actually do something of a social media plan like this along your core message pillars. So this is one I wrote. This is a plan I did for how to create a profitable story post. It was a webinar I did. So the ultimate thing is, just like I'm doing a lot of events. Events are great to kind of get people into your circle and capture details, but you're working backwards on a 2-week cycle. Basically, this is a 2-week cycle whereby I'm saying a long video, short video, blog long, or question. So those are different things that I'm doing in my content to mix it up. on Tuesday, I was asking me anything questions. So I kind of went live in my group, kind of about stories and the power of stories. And people have questions on that. And it's really to drive interest and doing, call to action to attend my webinar here. So, hey, if you thought this was good, I'm doing, my webinar on Tuesday, 26th of September. I'm going to be going much deeper in kind of how you can craft your own profitable story post. You're giving some value and you're leading that to, hey, if you thought this is good, I've got more value on my webinar. So it's kind of breaking kind of the subject matter of your webinar across the pillars of your program in terms of maybe it's just marketing and sales, not so much systems in terms of stories. So those I'm using that as breaking that down in terms of the content I need to do on a daily basis. That looks like a lot of content, yeah. So, but that's the sort of stuff that you need to do. If you're putting out content like that, and you're constantly in people's feed and say, Jesus, Michael's really there's a lot of content around story posts. Hey, I want to know more about how could that help me in my business. So it's not, this is why, the volume of content is so important. It's quality and quantity, but you need to be doing, at least 4 pieces of content a day to kind of, get people to read it around. Okay, go ahead, Brian.
So I'm more of a fan on LinkedIn. You're basically suggesting do the same on LinkedIn as you would on Facebook?
Yeah, you can repurpose this. You do that edutainment, and I get my VA to kind of repurpose it on LinkedIn.
Because one of the things that a lot of the gurus say is you should only post 2 to 3 times a week on LinkedIn.
Right. I think, as many eyeballs as you can get. Kind of if you're showing up with value in terms of kind of something, that is talking about something your avatar is dealing with, objection handling, how to use testimonials, how to use your backstory to move people, in your stories, that all of that is leading, is getting touch points with my audience in terms of, and getting a registration page together to capture details on my webinar.
Yeah. I tend to
if I only did like 1 piece of content a day, or think that, would be given the, what people are doing in terms of their content game, there's so much competition for attention, because attention is the currency we're all in. We need to get attention to get leads, to kind of move the leads to book an appointment with us.
There's a lot of noise out there.
There's an awful lot of noise out there. So I'm using, this is just based on one platform, kind of, but I've repurposed some elements like blogs. I repurpose on LinkedIn, and do short videos. I repurpose on LinkedIn. So kind of there is an element of repurposing.
Thank you.
So that's a social media planner. Kind of like you're just getting very intentional about kind of based on an event you might be running kind of every couple of weeks. Kind of running a webinar, I'm running a workshop, and then people sort of think, God, so pumping out so much value, so much kind of points that you will get people kind of in your circle say, yeah, they're not going to be, you're not dealing with cold prospects, you're dealing with warm to hot prospects who are waiting for, to book an appointment with you. Okay, next. So just to give you more about how it's planned, there's the social media plan, then there's an events plan. So I'm planning out my social media to kind of people to to get an event. But I'm also planning out my events plan in terms of kind of what I'm doing in July, different, this is like Q3, Q4, different webinars, workshops, prize draws. So I'm actually giving away something of value which links actually to my group coaching program. Maybe giving a kind of a free something of very high value. You get a lot of people to raise their hands, and running challenges like every other couple of months. So but basically webinars, you're kind of staple, like I'm doing here now, 45 minutes to an hour webinar. And then you're capturing people's details and then, booking them in for an appointment later on. So it's all intentional. So we get your event plan and then work back to kind of have your social media content plan that's supporting your events plan. Yeah, Jim?
And what's the difference between a webinar and a workshop then?
Webinar and a workshop, I said workshop, it's just like you're workshopping something narrow, kind of, it's sort of like workshop, masterclass, I think they're interchangeable. So you're going deep on a particular aspect. You're not going broad. Webinars are really process driven. What I'm going here is more like a process. Where workshop, we're going, okay, you got a lot of, when you did a webinar, you got a lot of interest given that, okay, well, that would say, okay, I need to be doing maybe some more deeper workshop on that element because I got a lot of attendance on my webinar. Okay, I'll go much more deeper on an aspect of that.
Great, thanks.
So, and these are all linked to, cohorts. You kind of link this all. You're promoting, your group coaching, kind of one-to-one coaching, whatever. So all the call to actions you're doing on all of your webinars, kind of that you're pushing people to take the next step and join your one-to-one or group coaching. Okay. Any questions on that? Does that sound any questions on any of that? No. It's pretty aligned. You're aligned kind of with the message pillars that you want to that is associated with your offer and then putting that in terms of your social media plan and your events plan. So it's all congruent. So you're talking about this stuff all the time and you're getting a maximum number of people to show up to your events. You're capturing people's details and those events registration. And then either you're selling on the event or booking them in for a consult, a free appointment afterwards. So that's basically what the appointment booking side of things is. So you're running an event, so maybe getting 80 people turn up that event, maybe 20, 10, 15, 20 people turn up, and maybe you sell maybe on the event in terms of aspect of your services you're doing. Hey, if you thought this was good, I've got my program which go much more deeper on this, and do an actual pitch on the webinar, masterclass, whatever. Or you're actually capturing details on the registration page anyway, so you can follow up with people, either sell an event or book a free consult. If they're a good fit, obviously go through your due diligence in terms of, have a short 15-minute triage call, see actually where they are, where they want to go, whether they're the right fit, whether they're financially qualified or not, and then move them to go and on to an offer call. But they should be at this point familiar with your content. They've consumed your content. They've attended your events. You've had multiple touch points with them. So that appointment is not coming out of the blue in terms of who is this guy, or kind of they already know kind of what you're all about. And so there isn't that sort of, friction you shouldn't be getting on calls. Make sense? It's not, none of this is rocket science. It's kind of like, it's all just building up those touch points. So when you outreach and book in a free, giving value, kind of seeing where they are, you should be, have a full calendar. And that's kind of that was 1 week there, 4 or 5 appointments every day in terms of that kind of free business. Okay. Any questions on that? No, everybody. everybody, is anybody doing that? Kind of how many appointments are you booking a week, by the way? Is anyone?
No.
None. Noreen?
No, just no, not at this stage.
Not at this stage. Okay. Brian?
I'm not really at this point
I'd
yet.
have to say that I've fallen right behind on this.
Right. Because the KPI in your business is appointments and sales, effectively. Because if you're not booking appointments, you're not getting in front of people to make an offer, to make a sale. So all of this work is basically focused on getting your calendar full. It's getting 10 to 15 appointments a week. Of those 10 to 15 appointments, 2 to 3 people will become clients, at least. If you have the right people, those touch points and people, yeah, this is something I want to know more about, and they're open to a conversation, then you make an offer. So it's all about booking appointments, making offers, making sales. It's not rocket science, but okay. Yeah, just something this is something I use, manage all my appointments in one place. So it's like, it can be overwhelming in terms of all the different points. Hey, I've got a lead magnet people are downloading, or I've got a webinar, or kind of the various touch points people have. So I use a kind of a CRM that manages everything. I don't kind of, and my VA has access to it. So she books all the appointments. They all come into my calendar and I get the notifications. So it's kind of streamlines that whole process. So you focus on what you're good at, which is, the content creation side of things, making sure you're talking to your client with something that they want. And then, the appointment side of things, you might have to do it at the beginning, but I would, move out of, manually doing that work and get someone else to book appointments for you, and using some kind of system to do that. So that's I manage everything in one place, and it's I see. That's how you get fully booked. So that's short and sweet in terms of kind of so that social media planner. Anybody want that social media planner? You want to take a screenshot of that? You can download it at here. It's elmlink.co/social media planner.
Hey, Michael, I have a question.
Yep.
You said the long form video as a live. Would it be better to have a recorded one so you could edit and put some, graphics or whatever words on it, and then
recorded post? And then I like live is more, that's why I like ask me anything type of, going live every once a week, and kind of
more engaging.
Engaging with your audience, engaging kind of with a subject matter that is close to their hearts, and you're getting that live feedback from the call. That's more than sort of doing something offline then uploading it. You probably not get a lot of engagement.
So you keep a fixed time every week, so it's
I try to keep I've been kind of falling off, but basically midweek, then people kind of look forward to kind of that every week. Hey, you might say, hey, ask me anything. I'm going live in my group on Wednesday at this time. And then people know.
Thank you.
Okay. So, any questions on that? Does it make sense? Yeah. Noreen, Anto, anyone? Afra?
It's just a lot of content.
Yeah. If it looks like hard work, it is. It's all about being intentional with your content. Once you plan it out, it's not that you can't. Hey, you can do it in an hour in the morning. Hey, I'll do my reel. I'll do my blog post. I'll do my blog post. I'll do my poll in terms of asking someone, and you just post it out. It shouldn't be that onerous in time. It's only when people overthink it and say, looking, because they're looking maybe at a blank sheet of paper, because maybe they're not clear on maybe the steps before that. of their message pillars. Kind of, oh, what are my, and they're thinking, and that's where you get misalignment, because maybe you're talking about something that is not of interest to your audience. They're coming at that message pillars, so the content is intentional with what you're saying. You're moving them along to attend an event, or even book an appointment with you from your content. But it's all about capturing people's details as well. You're building up your list. That's why the events are so powerful, because people who are registered, you're building up your list of people who have not those touch points that you can contact and book appointments with. It's all about booking appointments, people.
Yeah, for sure.
Any more comments before? It's sort of short and sweet today, but my face is sore because of that tooth. I'm sorry.
Don't envy you.
Well, let's say if you want that.
I could ask one.
Yeah, go ahead, Noreen.
Is it better to build up firstly the Facebook side of things first before going into LinkedIn and other ones all at the same time, or
I'm not a big
get your head
fan.
around one?
Going deep on one, because you'll get overwhelmed with too many.
Yeah, I feel overwhelmed already. It just seems like a whole lot of things to decide, funneling it down, which is the most important one, and seemingly like Facebook is coming through. Yeah,
I would because Facebook is the most popular channel, though it's an older platform, over 10 years now, but kind of it's still an easier place to start with. It kind of offers different kind of short form reels, posts, lives, groups. You're kind of creating groups, creating communities, so it has a lot of elements that other don't have.
Yes.
I'm saying LinkedIn doesn't have a particular thing, but if you're starting out and want to get some traction and get some hands raised and book appointments, Facebook is where you should be starting. I've started. Most of my clients come from Facebook. I'm going to say more 95%. Kind of, it's sort of, it's the most easiest platform to understand, although it's frustrating. There's no doubt it is a frustrating kind of experience for a lot of people.
And is having a blog an essential part of, even if you're posting, is having a blog essential as well?
Well, it's sort of like Jane said, a blog maybe on a website, and you can repurpose that blog onto maybe your content. Like I'm just using.
I don't have a website yet.
Yeah, or I wouldn't go down the website route. You don't need a website. It's a sort of a passive experience, kind of waiting for people. I'd rather have an active approach, and this is going to, your active intentional social media. You're actually putting out content. People are engaging those touch points to kind of book to either attend an event or book an appointment. So it's kind of and I just use maybe 300. My long form content's about 300 words. I post it in my profile most of the time. Maybe and then when people engage it and ask people to call to action, don't put links. Everybody put links or something. Put links in your posts, or I use hashtag. Anybody interested in a forthcoming webinar? Hashtag webinar below. You want it as low friction as possible for people to kind of say, yeah, I want to know more about that. So use sort of hashtag, because when you have the black text, once you put hashtag, it comes up blue as well. But don't put I see a lot of people put hashtags all massive at the bottom. It's just a kind of, you're just calling out people. If they want more information on this, hashtag, more information or whatever below, and then they put in that, below. If you look at my content, I just get a lot of people like that, and that's the start of the conversation. I move people in, hey, here is your thing, or here is the event that you wanted, registration link. They're now in my system. They're now kind of a bona fide lead. I now have their contact details.
I have a question.
Totally.
So these three core message pillars,
Yeah.
how do we create, identify what could be message pillar for each one of our businesses? Or is it something generic?
No, it's basically the services. You know, you're going from the transformation you're doing. I don't know what your services are, but you're going from, you know, pain to pleasure, and you're moving away from pain towards pleasure. So what are the pillars of to get them, you know, to that outcome that they want? Now, mine's a marketing sales systems, but a personal trainer would be mindset, nutrition, fitness. So, you know, kind of, you know, you've got to be in the right mindset before you even kind of get, you know, to make the sustainable results that you want, you know, from doing, doing exercise. So those are the sort of, you know, chunk it into three core message pillars, and those pillars then are the headings for all of your content.
And on each content, you have a call of action, even on the first day itself, or it's only towards the end of those 25 days you start having the talk about your webinar? Or
No, that's what I'm saying there. It's every their webinar there, 26th of June. So 2 weeks before that, I usually do a 2-week cycle. So 2-week cycle, I'm talking about that webinar. I'm talking about that webinar. I'm talking aspects of I'm going to be discussing on that webinar, aligned to the message pillars of my program, marketing and sales. So that I'm talking about stories and different aspects of stories, hero's journey, rapport building, a day, objection handling, kind of, you know, testimonials in terms of what how you use story-based testimonials. So I'm building up about why stories are powerful and why you can leverage stories in your content, actually be profitable, and actually you can make, you can move people to kind of, you know, purchase from you or, you know, become a client.
Interested that you said that your long form post is 300 odd words.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like long form, kind of read long form stuff, especially if it's no spacing between each other. So I just kind of have, it's kind of my natural flow in terms of what I feel I want to get across in a snackable long form post. And 300 is kind of mine. It can go from 300 to 500. It depends how much. There's no kind of hard and fast rule in terms of what a long form post is, but it's basically the heading in terms of some catchy heading, like I've talked. Those headings I talked about, you know, why situation keeps happening and what to do about it is your heading, and then go into sort of, you know,
I think that's where I've been going wrong.
Yeah.
I'm letting my inner accountant out, and of course there's detail, and max out the 3,000 character limit on. Thank you.
I just write it in Word, then copy and paste it into Facebook most of the time. Then it just edit it. I actually do a draft, then come back later and say that was rubbish, and kind of and it just sort of comes together. Kind of, yeah. And then
I use OneUp, which is a similar thing. OneUp measures your characters.
Yeah. And then I think about, okay, how do I put a headline around that that's going to get people to read it all?
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
That system that Michael uses for that works really well, because that's one thing Michael taught me. And I get people going, I haven't had one of your posts lately. And as soon as I put one up in that format with a heading spaced about 300 words, which isn't a lot really, and I get a lot of engagement from those, and people actually enjoy reading them. So it is a good way of creating interest, because I quite just ramble on about what's happening in the day, you know, something's happened or I'm feeling something, and it's amazing how many people start reading those and miss them when they're not there, because I haven't been very present lately, and you know, I had a message the other day, I'm missing your posts. So that way of reading them, it's kind of light-hearted in a way, isn't it, Michael? But it brings information.
You're talking about something that they can, you know, it's granular enough that they can, I self-identify. God, that's Jane is really talking about something I'm dealing with. How more agreeable would they be to sort of like, you know, attend your event or open for an appointment?
Yeah, and I was even honest about playing Candy Crush on one the other day and spending all my money on my treatments. And someone actually messaged me and went, "Oh, I'm so pleased." In fact, several, "I'm so pleased you've admitted to playing Candy Crush. I'm on level so and so." So again, completely irrelevant to what I'm doing, but it gets that chat going, doesn't it? And it just brings.
You're just building up those relationships, those touch points, whereby, hey, seeing you attended my thing, my latest event, kind of love to get your feedback. You know what? Send them the replay or send them something that we something they were giving out, and then sort of, hey, by the way, do you want to book in for a free consult to sort of see exactly kind of maybe how this could work for you? Most people, say yes. People say no, but if they have had those touch points with you and followed you, it's more than likely they would say yes. That's how you book your appointment up. That's how you book your calendar up.
Excellent. Thank you, Michael.
No worries.
Mm,
If anybody wants that,
very informative.
that social media planner type thing, download it there, and it's just a simple spreadsheet, but it's something you kind of be intentional about. How you can say, okay, what my content is, how do I plan my content? Okay, all right, I'm planning it out. That's going to move people to an event that I'm running.
The other one, Michael, the belief shifting framework.
Yeah, you want that? I can send you that, Brian. No worries.
Yeah, I love that. I
That
like
there,
that.
one there, kind of got, it's sort of like challenging people's belief, new belief. How's it going to affect them? And then, hey, you thought that you want some, call to action, or again, running in a webinar on such and such. Anybody?
I would really love that one too, if you wouldn't mind.
All right, no worries.
Yeah, me too, Michael. I would like that too.
Okay,
That's a very important one.
All right, I will send you guys
Beautifully done.
being one on the social media one, so you have.
Excellent. Appreciate that.
And great content, Michael. I love the headlines. It reminds me of some of those YouTubers who have really got a lot of followers. They have these catchy thumbnails.
Yeah, it's curiosity. You're just creating curiosity. I think I can help you, but I'm not sure.
Really good.
That's the frame of mind you should be coming in from. All right. Okay, guys. I've got another.
All right.
Thanks for your attendance. Hope you got value from this. And,
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Very, very much so. But I'm hearing that it's not just the content, but it's like the whole package. They're kind of buying you as well, right? Because it's all part of how you present everything.
Absolutely.
What you have to say, what your message resonates with them on a personal level. So it's not just the words; it's the whole deal.
Absolutely, whole deal. The content supporting events. I'm showing up here in terms of you guys. You're getting a flavor in terms of kind of me as a person, in terms of kind of what I'm here to serve. Not you guys to give value to you guys. If you're coming from that place, your calendar's going to be full.
Yeah, it has that effect. Yes. Thank you so much.
Okay, no worries. I will.
Thanks, Michael.
Okay.
No worries. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
I'll see you in another one. Hopefully.
All right.
Okay.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.